Hi, everyone. Welcome. As you're entering the room today, you know we like to start these with a one-word check-in. What's your state of mind today? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Please type in the word that comes to mind. Got this idea from the brilliant Matthew Lee, and it's a tradition we like to preserve here today. Squiggly, energized, calm. Tamara, why squiggly?
You know, when you're down regulating and it's not quite working, that feels squiggly to me.
Okay, I like that visual metaphor. Hopeful, inspired, tranquil, attentive, inspiring. Okay, wonderful set of words. If you're just arriving and seeing words appearing in the chat, it's our one-word check-in. Please type how you're feeling today. And while you are, it's my great pleasure to introduce our two hosts for today's meeting. So today's meeting is entitled Dignity, the Foundation for Human Flourishing. And it aims to present why dignity is an essential or foundational pathway to human flourishing and how we can develop interventions to promote it. And our two hosts for today are Pekka Himanen, philosopher and co-founder of Global Dignity, and he's going to lead a discussion of the concepts of dignity and flourishing, and Emilia Rodriguez Morales, country chair of Global Dignity, co-founder at Made for Joy and a research affiliate at the Human Flourishing Program. And she's going to present an example of an intervention in Mexico that integrates social emotional learning and the Metaverse to promote dignity as the foundation for human flourishing. So thank you so much, Pekka and Emiliana, for hosting today's meeting, and delighted to now hand it over to your very capable hands.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, John, for your kind introduction, and I'm really inspired to see you all. So I'll start. I'm Pekka Himanen, the co-founder of Global Dignity with Crown Prince Haakon of Norway and John Hope Bryant from the US. And from the beginning, we were joined by some well-known figures such as three Nobelists, Desmond, Tutu, whom I had the honor to do some small advising work for when he was leading the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, and which started our long friendship. And the Nobelist peacemaker, President Martti Ahtisaari, for whom I also did some little advisory work when he was the president of Finland. His slogan was, "Most conflicts are about dignity and lasting peace with dignity for all." And then, of course, the great thinker from India, who's now here at Harvard, Professor Amartya Sen. I would like to start by playing 1 minute from our theme song of Global Dignity that was composed for us by Dave Stewart from Eurythmics and performed by the great Nadira X at the Global Dignity Forum that I organized. And you can also see some of the other figures that I just mentioned here on stage. So let me kick off with this. You can adjust the volume as you like. Just a second, did a little technical thing.
How y'all doing? Check, check. How y'all doing? Y'all ready to have some fun? Come on. I gotta get my weight up to reflect the things that were instilled in me. Never give up. No. Some days I slip up, but I remember what my mama said. Baby girl, never give up. It's hard to be strong. Yeah. When the pressure is on at every end and the pain is prolonged, but dignity is always tugging on my sleeve, saying you must believe in you. That's how you make it through. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. In the face of adversity. You and I must see that the power is in you and me. We should never neglect respect. Human life is worth more. Set some zeros on a check. Let's elevate to the clean. Elevate our self-esteem and realize our dreams, wants and needs. Sometimes the lines get blurred, but we should never feed the greed. You should be the change you wish to see in the world. You should be the change you wish to see in the world. You should be the change.
Okay, so that's arch dancing, like Desmond Tutu liked his friends to call him. And of course, we are missing him dearly as a spiritual leader of dignity in the world. So what we do in practice is we educate students on dignity as the foundation of flourishing. And by dignity, we mean the inherent equal value of every human being. We have a full curriculum, but we also have a one-day format called a Dignity Day, where we visit, for example, a school, share our own dignity stories, and then the students tell their dignity stories. And these have been always very inspiring and even moving and very effective in furthering people's understanding and practice of dignity in their lives. To get an idea of what this session is like, let me give a feel of it by showing a short video from a school visit we did in Davos at the World Economic Forum in a local school.
So what we've done is we've brought this into schools. So what we've done is we've brought this into schools.
Are you behaving yourself?
I always
No, no, you're not. Thank you.
Pleasure, great.
How are you doing?
A lot of students waiting to
Yes,
to
all
hear
right,
you.
come on.
A little bit of humbleness.
There we go. You can't do that, man. You shouldn't. You're going to show that on television.
Now I have a great honor to welcome Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
Thank you very much.
No. Desmond Tutu!
Guten Tag. It's just wonderful to be here with a real prince. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask. Left-handed people, just show by raising your hand. Left-handed. All left-handed people, for the fact that they are left-handed, are going to get the best cars. And they said, you know, God created a few perfect people. The rest he made right-handed. Now, in a way, that is what used to happen to us in South Africa. It wasn't being left-handed your skin color. That no matter whether you're tall or short like me, whether you are I'm getting that way too. You're substantial, or you have an hourglass figure, whether you are clever or foolish, whether you are rich or poor, it's a fantastic thing that each single human being is created in the image of God. You are going to make a difference in the world. You. What? You. Okay, bye-bye.
Hello. Dignity for me is to treat the other persons like you want to be treated, and money can be produced every day. But love and faith and dignity just comes from yourself. You cannot produce it like money.
I'm very happy to was born here in Switzerland because my parents, they come from Portugal and they have to leave school 12 and they go working, and my grandparents, they can't write, and so I think
blow out a candle, but you can't blow out a fire. Once the flame begins to catch, the wind will blow it higher.
So this is to give you an idea of what a single day dignity session can be like in a school. And we especially started with the schools. We started with schools from high schools to the kindergarten. But right now we are also very much focusing and expanding related to the university student level. And we have full curriculums for the school and kindergarten and the university levels for teaching dignity as a foundation of flourishing. I showed you some examples from these moments related to global dignity. In addition to that work that started with the founding of global dignity, it was already my academic research area. So I have now published on this topic books that have been translated into 30 languages, and it continues to be my philosophical passion. It really inspires me to be working on it and to get to know new people who could become part of that collective thinking and action activity. But I would add that there's one more reason why dignity is so important topic for me and has become even very personal, and it's related to my personal background, because I would say that however much I've learned from all these great people that we all know, I would say that some of the most important lessons I learned actually from my grandmother, who was a cleaning lady who was born to very poor conditions. So poor that of the 8 children of the family, 3 didn't survive even childhood. So she had to leave home when she was just 16 to survive. And she worked as a cleaning lady for her whole life, often doing 2 jobs. Later, she often told me and my little brother a story that had special meaning to her. She said once she was working daytime at the construction site and in the evenings at the government's building. When one time, when she was cleaning the Prime Minister's office late at night, the Prime Minister unexpectedly came back to his office. And my grandmother said that she was very nervous because she felt that she was just a cleaning lady, and there was the leader of the country. And she was very used to being completely ignored and even humiliated, as if she didn't even exist as a person. But what the Prime Minister said to her made a lasting impression on her. He said, "I'm sorry that I interrupt your work this way. It's people like you who put their whole heart into their work and their family that have made this country what it is." And even if these were just simple words, they were really meaningful to her, because they answered to her universal longing that we all humans share, that I have a dream that my dignity is recognized. And I always remember this longing that we all have for our dignity to be recognized when I nowadays do either this practical work or the philosophical thinking work. Where we are now is that Global Dignity is a non-profit, non-political, non-religious organization that operates in over 80 countries in the world and reaches millions of people every year. We work extensively with schools, universities, but also with some workplaces and other organizations. And like I mentioned, right now, we are especially focused on developing both a live and online university course that could be used anywhere in the world by any interested university student or maybe even an advanced high school student. So what are some of the points in that big picture of dignity as the foundation of a culture of flourishing? Well, number one is that dignity means the inherent equal value of every human being. So the English word dignity itself derives from Latin word dignitas, which means worthiness, and that comes from another Latin word dignus, worth. So it's something that cannot be taken away from people, but you have to take it further, and this is what I have been doing, especially in my research work, because you can see dignity also as the cross-cultural heart of ethics. Dignity is also the heart for ethics. It's based on empathy, the ability to put yourself in another's position. And I have had the chance to have many deep dialogues with Arch, aka Desmond Tutu, related to this dimension, and I'll use it to introduce one of those research works that I've been doing. So here is one book I published by Oxford University Press that develops this topic more academically. But the bridge to this dignity as the heart of ethics comes from a moment I had when I filmed with Desmond Tutu around the world, some deep dialogues when he answered what dignity means to him, and here's what he said to that question.
What does dignity mean to you?
It is that I have to recognize that you are a person of infinite worth, and that therefore I should really, I should want to do to you what I would want you to do to me. To know that I have a point of view which I would want you to respect. I should know that you have a point of view that I should respect, even if I disagree with it.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. God bless you, Professor Himanen.
And here is how the same idea is actually at the heart of all major spiritual and even secular tradition in Judaism. That which is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. That is the whole Torah. This is what Talmud says. Christianity, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. Matthew. Islam, as you would have people do to you, do to them. This maxim is enough for you. Go and act in accordance with it. From Hadiths. Confucianism, a disciple asked, is there one word which may serve as a rule of practice for all one's life? The master said, that word is shu, reciprocity. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. From Analects. Hinduism, one should never do that to another which one regards as injurious to one's own self. This, in brief, is the rule of Dharma. From Mahabharata, the so-called fifth Veda, Buddhism, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. Udana Varga, the so-called second Dhammapada, and in the secular tradition, act as if your maxims should serve at the same time as the universal law. Immanuel Kant, groundwork for the metaphysics of morals. But you actually then go even further, because if you think about the full concept of dignity, it is about that something valuable inside of us all, some unique valuable that we all possess as a potential, and we should create conditions that make it possible to actualize that. And in fact, I've used this simplified way to sum up dignity as the culture of flourishing. And by the way, when we talk about the word flourishing, I would like to say why I think that actually dignified life is a synonym for flourishing, and even an alternative translation for the very word from which it was originally derived, namely the famous passage in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, Book 1, Chapter 7, which says that the goal of human life is eudaimonia. And this we usually say is translated flourishing or happiness. But actually, the ancient Greek word means something a little more, because it derives from the ancient Greek words eu, good, and diamond, spirit. So good spirit. So it's actually about what is the most dignified about us. So that's why for the culture of flourishing, I often like to use almost as a synonym the expression dignified life. So what kind of elements does it consist of? Well, you can easily see that this is very much summing up many findings from many psychological theories. You can almost put there your favorite one. I originally started from Maslow's simplified hierarchy, but you could put, for example, Taylor's model as well. So what is this kind of a culture at its best? At its best, confidence is the foundation for this kind of a culture. That how achieving, energizing, and powerful it is if you can feel that you can be you in some environment, that you don't have to fear shame, you can trust, you can have self-confidence and confidence in others. And sometimes in my university courses, when we have a lot of time, we go very deep to questions like, what are your top 3 experiences of shame? I don't actually expect an answer to that, but you can explore it within yourself, because those are the things that actually close you down even nowadays. Those are the things that kind of live by you at every moment. So you, in that kind of a culture of confidence, you don't have to put your energy in keeping up a so-called PR self. Instead, you can rise to the next level of the power of community. And what I mean by this is that how energizing, achieving, and motivating it is if you can feel that you belong to a larger we that is passionate about the same thing. And also about the fact that you are part of that community. And if in addition you get recognition for the contributions that you give to this community, one of the most interesting human phenomena start that we all know from some parts of life, that you actually feel that in this kind of situation of enriching interaction, you can feel that you are more than you would otherwise be. And then based on this, you can add the level of creativity, that how energizing, motivating, and powerful it is if you can feel that what you do is at least somehow related to your creative passion. So your unique potential, and actualizing it even a little bit more than before. And when you have this connection to your source of meaning, you also have a connection to your source of energy. And then happens this other very interesting human phenomenon that we all know, that in these kinds of situations, instead of just exhausting, the activity can actually energize you more. And like I said, you could reflect this from a viewpoint of, let's say, Taylor's elements of, you could write next to confidence, things like in his flourishing model, he mentions stability and health. They definitely are some things that contribute. Community, he talks about the importance of relationships and also character and virtues such as kindness, loving kindness, forgiveness definitely are part of this picture. And next to creativity, you could easily write, for example, meaning and purpose and happiness and life satisfaction, like he does. Actually, I have used this in a way where I kind of sum up what is this culture of dignity, which equals flourishing, that F equals C cubed. And when we go very deep in these university courses, then we start asking questions related to how you can develop these in yourself. And for example, or in a course that I have been doing or was doing actually at in a film studio and a stage theater of the university, we go very deep and we ask on each of these elements certain questions. So related to falling down the bottom here, you not only ask, can I do me and what is my top 3 experiences of shame, but ultimately you ask, what is my wound of love? And that is one of the deepest questions to explore. Community, you ask questions like, how do I help others to be at their best, in their thing, not my thing? But even further, you ask, can I observe others so well that I could, in a way, take the other person inside of me as an inner experience and communicate to that person based on that? And the test we use is, could I say to another person something that that person has always longed to hear? And people can actually do it if they just practice it. And at its best, you can say something so meaningful to the other that the other feels that this is life at its best. I even myself didn't have words for this, but this is what it has been about. You, in a way, return the other person to that person cleaned from pain and invested with more love. And ultimately, on this creativity level, you ask questions like, what is my creative passion? When do I feel especially alive? And also, what is my energizing dream? What greater than self do I serve? These are all questions that go in this direction. And one conductor put it in a really powerful way. And I think it's maybe one of the most important questions to ask. His criterion was to ask in life, when he was at loss what to do, does that make my eyes shine? And also, do I make the eyes of the others shine? When we move from here to the education system and transforming it, I think the following words of the Dalai Lama, who I had the honor to meet some time ago, are actually very important. And I let him to express that message about how we actually need this flourishing network type of changing the whole education system. Here's what he said.
Education, the organization, just thinking or pay more attention about our brain, not heart. Now we must pay more attention equally. Brain, I think brain should be positive as a basis of warm-heartedness. Warm-heartedness, people feel general, and education only our brain. Then the most troublemaker on this planet are modern educated people. So now education should include the emphasis secular idea.
So there is actually this dangerous contradiction that most troublemakers are modern educated people. So what's wrong with our education system when this is a fact? No one can deny it. So that we are really developing our head, but not our heart, not developing the values of dignity and loving kindness and flourishing that you need for a fully leading a dignified life. And as a philosopher, I'll put it this way. There were two moments when I went to schools to talk with the children that really have stuck in my mind. One was when I was talking with 12-year-olds, and then suddenly a 12-year-old girl said that she also has a story of dignity to tell. Then she told the following very moving example. She said that 2 years earlier, her own grandmother had been dying. And then she said that for the last days of her grandmother's life, she had sat with her mother by her bedside, held her hand and talked to her. And if you think of this image of a 10-year-old girl sitting by her grandmother's bedside, holding her hand and talking to her, and that some of the last words that the grandmother hears in her whole life are her granddaughter's words, "I love you, Granny." It's hard to imagine a more powerful image of what dignity means. And what I was thinking was that if this 10 or 12-year-old girl was able to show so much dignity, how do we, more grown-ups, do the same? And basically, I thought that life is short. We can't waste it. The only possible moment to show dignity is now. And this was amplified with my final example when I talked with a teacher who was teaching 8-year-olds, and I asked from her what has been a moment that has impacted her thinking about her role as a teacher. And she said that once she was teaching 8-year-olds again, and one day, one 8-year-old boy was very sad for the whole day. Then after the day, she went privately to talk with him to ask, "Why have you been so sad for the whole day?" To which the boy answered, "Because during the whole day, you have not touched me with your eyes." Touch with your eyes. And I thought it's one of the most beautiful poetical metaphors for what dignity is. And the teacher said that this changed her thinking of her role, that it's fundamental to see this dignity in each person. And to me, it leaves us with the question, how do we touch each other with our eyes? How do we make the eyes of the others shine so that we can answer to this question in our lives, hopefully dignified, flourishing lives? Does that make my eyes shine in the affirmative? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pekka. Now I will continue with some examples of how we are applying this in Mexico. And to begin, I would like to invite you first to do a contemplative exercise. So please take a comfortable position. I invite you to put your back straight, the rest of your body relaxed. You can close your eyes or leave it open as you feel more comfortable. This will be a 1-minute contemplative exercise. We can start by taking 3 deep breaths, allowing ourselves to relax in every exhalation. use every exhalation to relax the body, to let go all the tension in the face, in the shoulders, in the rest of the body. Allow with every exhalation also to make some space in your mind, to let go any worry, any agenda. Just to settle in the present moment and the inspiring words that Pekka shared with us. And now from this space, a more calm mind and body, I invite you to connect with your heart desires. But what do you wish for yourself? What motivates you? And also think on all children and youth in your community. From your family to your neighborhood, your country, and all children and youth of the entire world. And connect with what do you desire for them? What do you wish for all children and youth in your community and in the world? In the next exhalation, I invite you to let go of any mental effort, any reflection, image. If you need, you can stretch a little bit, open your eyes if you have them closed. And now, the challenge that I want to ask you is to please share in a single word, what do you wish for yourself? And what do you wish for all children and youth in your community and the world? If it's in one word, what word would you pick that summarize your heart desires for yourself and others? Can you share it through the chat, please? Peace, love. Oh, of course, flourishing. I thought that everyone could answer flourishing. But yes, love, self-presence, children enoughness, beautiful. So there are many reasons that because I wanted to start with this contemplative exercise. One, because it's really meaningful to connect with our sense of purpose. But the second one is because this is also an exercise that we use to open the workshops that we're implementing in Mexico as part of the program States Promoting Dignity. So this is a program that we are launching, of course, from Global Dignity Mexico, but also in alliance with Made for Joy XR. And the idea is to work at the state level to create a program that can be systemic, scalable, and evidence-based. And we have been working since last year, slowly, step by step, moving towards that goal. So when I asked this question to students in Mexico, in the state of Guanajuato, they actually answer things very similar to what you just answered. They don't say flourishing, not at the beginning of the workshop, but they answer, for example, peace, happiness, joy, also opportunity. Of course, some of them say money, resources, success. And actually, I've been able to make these questions to many groups in Mexico and in other parts of the world. And what I found is that basically all the words that we said can be grouped in three big categories. Well-being, so we all want to be well and with health, etc. The second one is related to values, so peace, love, justice, equity, etc. And the third one is related with our opportunities to develop ourselves. So education, opportunities, the development of our own potential. And last year, UNESCO released a paper and based on a big research and stated that the purpose of education should be human flourishing. And actually what they say, or how they define human flourishing, is as both the optimal continuing development of human beings' potential and living well as human being. So related again with well-being, but also the developing of our own potential. And they also said that it means being engaged in relationships and activities that are meaningful, that is aligned with both an individual's own values and humanistic values in a way that is satisfying to them. So the values aspect. So it seems that we all want that. We all in this network, also students in Guanajuato, want this. Also UNESCO says that it's the purpose of education. And actually, we human beings seem to be very incredible and intelligent creatures that have developed a lot of technology that take us to the space, that help us to understand the atom, to help us to hack the operating system of humanity, as Yuval Harari said, with the advances, for example, in artificial intelligence or the creation of other realities with XR technologies. But we have amazing, incredibly big challenges still in humanity. The state of Guanajuato, what we are starting to work on this, is a state with more violence in Mexico. Not only that, but 1 in every 2 children lives in poverty. And also, for example, 68% of women have experienced some kind of violence. So we face those challenges, even though we have all these resources. So how can we start a path for flourishing, which is something that we all want? Where do we begin? And our proposal is to begin with recognizing and honoring human dignity. So that is the program that we are launching there, to recognize the inherent value of all human beings. And the program works at a state level and has 3 pillars. The first pillar is awareness. So with awareness, what we're doing is to create big events where we have the presence of authorities, we will have the media. Here in the picture, you would see the governor of the state of Guanajuato taking a selfie that is going to be in the media, with many of the students and also keynote speakers that talked in a big conference on dignity that we had last year. So this is one of the elements of the program, to make noise and to help the state and all the stakeholders to start talking about dignity and flourishing. So that that's the foundation for the next pillar, which is upskilling. So something that is very important is that it's not enough to know that we have dignity or to recognize and be aware of its importance, because there's something very essential that we have to know about ourselves. And that's that we are vulnerable to feel that our dignity has been not recognized. And when that happens, as Desmond Tutu said, the moment our dignity is undermined, we get up in arms and want to see our dignity restored, especially if we are humiliated. We know for neuroscience, for example, that when we feel not seen or rejected, not valued, the areas of our brain that are activated are the same areas of the brain that are activated when we feel physical pain. So not being recognized in our dignity, being rejected, is actually painful. And when we are in pain, we don't think clearly. And we tend to turn into a survival mode where we basically attack, freeze, or run away. And that starts a vicious cycle. When I feel that I'm not valued, I feel that I've been humiliated, and then I humiliate others, and then the cycle starts. So with the programs that we're doing with youth, what we want is to create awareness and dignity, but also to help them develop some basic social, emotional, and learning skills that allow them to break this vicious cycle and to create a virtuous cycle that allows us to recognize and honor dignity. And for that, we work with the students, and not only with the students, but we're also working with public servants and with teachers in Mexico. We first teach them how to pause. So we use, for example, mindfulness practices. We teach them how their mind can be very cluttered and we don't see clearly when we have all this agitation in our minds. And we teach them some techniques to help them to calm their minds in a way that the natural clarity of their minds manifest, and they can think better and make better decisions. We also teach them some other strategies for emotional awareness and emotional regulation. With that, the next step is to help them to connect, first with their own dignity, developing some skills like self-efficacy belief and self-compassion, and to connect with the dignity of others through empathy and perspective taking. And then to act in a way that honors dignity. So with act of kindness, compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude. And developing these skills takes time and takes practice. So during the workshops, we started with in-person workshops, but now in order to scale this and also to be able to evaluate and to engage for longer time with the students, we are creating a mini course that is going to be implemented in a virtual university in the state of Guanajuato with 20,000 students. And in this mini course, we teach them the basics of these skills, but we provide them also some resources that are actually happening in virtual reality. So I'm going to play just a little part of a video that shows one of the many resources that they have. So this look a bit modified because this is created to be seen in a cardboard, actually, as you see there. So this is a kind of headset that it's very cheap and so it's easy to scale, where you put your phone and with a particular app that allows you to be immersed in that space. You have there, like, for example, some reflection or contemplative exercise, enhanced in this case with some music, so that you have this immersive space that help you to go deeper and to reflect or to practice a particular exercise to develop social and emotional learning skills. And we decide to use this kind of resource because some research said that immersive experiences like this one, and even more socially interactive experiences in virtual reality, can help students to learn 4 times faster, can help them to be 4 times more focused on the content, 3.75 times more emotionally connected to the content, and feel 275% more confident to apply these skills. So these are some numbers that were from a comparative study on social and emotional learning skills, not in our own, but that's our next step, to actually measure the impact that these resources can have on students. A second reason that because we're using this is because in this university, everything is already online. All the programs are online, and they are looking also for ways to humanize virtuality. So immersive realities allow you to interact with each other in this other experience, so that we are not just seeing little faces in a screen, but we can actually have experience together. So, and then the third reason is because it's very fun for students, and they will be developing also some important digital skills as they learn these basic and important skills for dignity. Then the third pillar of the program is the ongoing commitment. We want to make this sustainable in time. So that's why we're implementing at state level. So we, for example, gave a public recognition to Diego Sinue, the governor of the state of Guanajuato, for his work, but he also committed publicly to continue to sustain the initiative. We have been also held strategic meetings with businessmen in the state to give sustainability to the initiative. We are establishing the foundations for the program evaluation. So we are starting actually now, with the help of Global Dignity, a pilot evaluation with a measurement that Global Dignity developed. And in the university, what we're working on launching this program, we started a Human Flourishing hub at the university. That will be a very important structure for future developments and for the measurement of the impact. And to finish and have some time for some questions, I would like to share a 3-minute video that summarize what we have been doing in Mexico and in particular in the state of Guanajuato.
Dignity means the inherent equal value of every human being.
I think it's one of the most important human values, and sometimes we don't give the importance or the attention that it needs. Or sometimes we just misunderstand the word and we're not able to appropriate it or to try to fix it in a moment in our lives.
Y a mí me llegó a conmover profundamente la experiencia porque me hizo pensar realmente en la importancia de estar presentes, de vivir nuestra vida de manera consciente y poder estar presentes en cada momento.
We'll see this thing through. All we're looking for, dignity.
Oh, thank you. And I think that we're just exactly in time.
Yes, thank you so much, Pekka and Emiliana. That was truly inspirational. I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I'm saying that. Please, if you haven't already, put your virtual applause function on like that, or just literally give a, a round of applause as well, because that was beautiful. I mean, it's probably the best word to describe it. And as you can see from the reaction to the chat, Emiliana and Pekka, those sentiments are shared by everyone. Loads of wonderful resources also shared in the chat today. Thank you to all of you for sharing these. Are there any, I know we're at time, but we should at least open up the floor to see if anyone would like to ask Pekka or Emiliana any questions. Are there any questions anyone would like to raise for Emiliana and Pekka? Matt.
Yeah, my thanks to you both. And I've been involved in a lot of conversations lately, well, increasingly, but for longer than just recently, about the foundation for flourishing. And some critics have said, well, well-being, wellness, flourishing. All of these constructs are really just shopping carts into which individuals put whatever appeals to them and ignore things that they're not aware of or that don't appeal. And I really do feel that a number of conversations have continued to come back to this foundation of dignity as being especially important. And so I just want to express my gratitude to both of you today for pointing us to this so very directly and skillfully, and as John said, beautifully. So I think that we are rediscovering, you know, I would say ancient wisdom in fresh ways with virtual technologies and other things like you shared. So thank you for being with us today.
Well, if I may, thank you, Matt, for these important points related to the very concepts we use, like flourishing, happiness, dignified life. And for anyone who wants the easy route to see why dignified life is a very good way of translating what Aristotle is after in his use of the word eudaimonia, is to not only read the book 1 of the Nicomachean Ethics, but also to read its last book 10 and from Metaphysics book 12. And if you are really academically hardcore, then you may take a look at his fragments, but that's for another time. But I, at the same time, want to take this moment to really thank you, Matt, John. Matt, I call my twin because we are kind of kindred souls. And John and Christina, kindness personified, for putting this a moment together. I'm so happy to have met so many new people, and I hope that even if we won't have all the time to cover things, that our connection will continue in one way or another.
Absolutely, Pekka. Thank you so much. And I mean, connected with that, Tamara has asked in the chat, how can we help? So if you do have a link anywhere to something like maybe a mailing list you guys have, or a campaign.
I'll put my email address here, so please be just in direct contact with me, or Emiliana, maybe you could add also yours.
Yes, I just added.
Yeah.
Great. And I can circulate that in an email to the group afterwards if anyone wants to connect with you as well. Okay. Well, so thank you so much again, Pekka and Emiliana, for that wonderful presentation. And by the end of the week, I'll circulate a link to the video of this and the chat, so you have those resources. So our next meeting is a month from today, the final Tuesday in July, as ever, on the 25th. And that will be divided into 2 sections. The first is going to be on work and well-being, and will be led by one of our members who's here right now, Kristin Mazko, a workplace effectiveness leader who works at the intersection of psychology and organizational effectiveness, and whose career roles include being the former inaugural director of mental health and well-being at Google. And Kristin's going to describe a framework for thinking about the drivers of workplace burnout based on her experiences and observations. So that's the first half of the meeting. The second will be on the role of wonder in flourishing, and will be led by Monica Parker, author of the recently published book, The Power of Wonder, the extraordinary emotion that will change the way you live, learn, and lead. I'll share links about Kristin and Monica in the chat, and further info about that will come in my email later this week. That's it for today. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us, spending your valuable time with us today. Please feel free to email me if you've got anything you'd like to circulate to the network, and we really hope we'll see you in a month's time.
Yes,
thank you again to Pekka and Emiliana.
John. Thanks, Matt.
Continue.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Pekka. Bye, Emiliana.
Bye.